Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report. You can notice a few changes around here. New intro, new sponsors, all that good stuff. Guys, it is a pleasure to be here with you on this glorious Sunday, 7 p.m. every week. Hit that intro, baby. Let's go. Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report right here on the Built in Buffalo YouTube, X, and Facebook channels. God bless and welcome to the show. I cannot wait to get into this because training camp is coming close, baby. It's coming close. And we talked last week about the preview for training camp. And guess what? The preview's over. Now it's time for them to show up to Rochester or St. John Fisher, technically Pittsburgh or Pittsford, New York. But man, it is getting real, man. Preseason is not far away. Chris in the 716 put up Go Bills. That preseason ball is so close. I can't wait. Me either, man. Preseason's right around the corner. But let's be real here. We, Bills Mafia, we here at Built in Buffalo, and other Bills content creators, the fans of our content and fans of the Bills, we all believe in the Bills. We believe in this team. We love this team. This is the team that we root for. It's a team that we truly have a passion to see win a Super Bowl, win a championship, right? There's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of guys, a lot of talking heads on TV, just blah, 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 blah. You got a lot to say, but you know what? We ain't worried about it, but we are going to talk about it. And we're going to see what they're saying about our Bills. Now, I wanted to do a bunch of video clips, but very time consuming. And I also don't want to get copyright struck here on Built in Buffalo. I don't want to get the brand in any kind of trouble. So I watched a bunch of videos. I then paraphrased most of what they said, and I also quoted some of it. But I basically got down to the gist of what certain talking heads were saying in the media about the Bills, from Stephen A. Smith, Nick Wright, Dan Orlovsky, Chris Sims, Mike Tannenbaum. I got a bunch of the guys who talk about the Bills. Shady McCoy, James Jones, a lot of these guys, Sam Acho. And I just kind of broke down what they said. And we're going to go over a lot of the things that are being said about our beloved Bills, right? We love our team. We love, Buffalo. We love the culture that is Bills Mafia, the tailgating, the enjoyment that it is when you see another Bills fan and you have to say "Go Bills" in public, unless you're in Buffalo, I guess, because there most of people are Buffalo Bills fans. But when I'm here in North Carolina and I start walking around the mall, which I rarely do, if I go to Food Lion or if I go to Walmart or if I go anywhere in public and I got this Bills gear on and a fellow Bills fan sees me, I hear "Go Bills," because we Bills fans love this team. We love this team. And so the things that you're going to see are going to be as a ticker at the bottom. They're going to be tickers. You can read them for yourself. But I'm going to read them out loud, and then I'm going to go over what was said. And the first ticker will be, the Redzone Report is brought to you by Monster Energy. Let's go. I said that. Let's go. But the first guy is not somebody that Bills fans particularly like, nor are we unfamiliar with this person. It is Nick Wright. So Nick Wright said, the Bills have been overhyped. Says have led the NFL in hype only, have been worse than a quarter of the NFL this era. The LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, Bengals, Chiefs, Baltimore, and Green Bay have all been better. and he said that not having Diggs basically ends it. Basically ends the talk about the Buffalo Bills being, that team. I see the comments here. Hey, Izzy, was good, brother. Go Bills. It's my man right there, 716 Sports Blizzard. Pretty sure that's my man Robbie. Miss Nancy. Hey, Izzy. Hey, Miss Nancy. Much love to you and the Lance and the baby, who's getting big, by the way. I saw some pictures. And then Daniel Garies, yo, Izzy, best wishes to you and your family. Go Bills. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. A lot of familiar faces in here. Sandra L. King is back. Daniel Garies is back. Sandra's back. Junie's back. Chris is back. Greg Rogowski. I'm horrible with names. You might have been here before, but I don't recognize the name. So if you're new here, welcome back, or welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Bobby Hall back in the comments. Let's go, guys. So happy to have you guys here. Now, I see a comment. Daniel Gari says, "I never listened to Nick wrong." Hey, I don't like listening to the guy either, but I will at least hear him out. I'll see what he has to say. And this take that he had here really kind of rubs Bills fans the wrong way, right? And his claim that we've been worse than a quarter of the NFL this era is kind of foolish, right? In some years, sure, we've had 3 or 4 teams better than us. If you look at the Bills this past year, who was better than the Bills? The Ravens and the Chiefs made it to the AFC Championship game, and I'd say the Lions and the Niners, obviously in their conference, were better than the Bills overall for the season. That's an eighth of the league. Then if you go back the year before that, Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. They beat us in the playoffs. They saw the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. It was the Niners and the Eagles, I believe, in the NFC Championship game, and the Eagles won after Brock Purdy, tore his elbow up. It's 4 teams still. All the teams that he named have been better than us in one year or another. And one team I left off the list was the Buccaneers, because they won the Super Bowl. They beat KC the year that we went to the AFC Championship game against them. Sure, I mean, they've all had at least one season that was more successful than ours, but better than okay. It's a stretch in his opinion, but it's his opinion, so he can always have it. So you always miss the live. I tune in every week, and also love you in the AFC East Roundtable. Hey, man, I try my best. I go on there and I clown on them. There's not really a lot to clown on them about right now because we're between the seasons, but heck yeah, I love that. Hey, Scott Banker, welcome in, and my actual kid bro, Marcial. I love you, bro. Give the baby a kiss for me. Let's see. I think Nick is jealous, particularly Josh. I think it's personal with him. It might be personal with him, but I mean, Nick doesn't play ball. I don't know what he has to be jealous of. His team has won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, so I mean, he can be jealous if he wants to. I don't particularly understand it, but oh well, like it is what it is. He can be jealous if he wants, and I'm okay with that, Jason. So Nick Wright, that's the first take of his I got 2 takes of Nick Wright's. And so the second one is the panel there was asked by Wilds. Wilds was there. It was Nick, Wilds, and Broussard, right? And he had asked who the AFC's favorite is. It might be a surprise to the audience. The answer is the Bills. JA17 is the best QB in the AFC East, but they're not Super Bowl contenders. A bad year for the Bills is 10 wins for Buffalo. And so this is kind of a milder take. This is a bit mild for me when it comes to Nick Wright. Usually he's a lot more volatile and venomous when he talks about the Bills. He has the Bills as the favorite in the division. He says it's a bad division, which touche, 2 teams have made it to the playoffs in this division, minimum, the last 3 years. So I don't know how this division is weak. So that statement to me doesn't make sense. Freaking last year, Bills Dolphins. Year before that, Bills Dolphins. Year before that, Bills Patriots. There's been at least 3 teams in the last 3 years from this division have made the playoffs. And in each of those 3 years, 2 teams from this division have been in the playoffs. So I don't see I don't see how that works. How he can work that out in his head. But that's not my job or my place. I mean, this year the Dolphins went and they lost to the Chiefs pretty handily. The year before that, the Dolphins went, they lost to us. Then the year before that, we smoked the Patriots, freaking 47-17 or whatever it was. It was a 30-point game. Josh Allen had a perfect passer rate in that game. Like, we annihilated the Patriots that year, but still, like, they made the playoffs. And so to say that a division that has two teams that are in the playoffs the last 3 years every year doesn't make sense to me, especially since he's a Chiefs fan. Okay. What, the Raiders made it in 2021 or whatever with Rich Bisaccia as their uh, interim head coach, and then they didn't hire him. The Chargers made it in 2022, and they lost to the Jaguars after being up 27-0 or whatever it was. I don't see the logic behind it. It makes no sense to me, but whatever it is what it is. See, Marianne Calabrese says Nick hates the Bills because he's afraid they're going to beat his love, Patrick Mahomes. Eventually we are. Look, this is very reminiscent of not Josh Allen. Jesus. Excuse me. The Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, saga. Tom won 6, Peyton won 2. I'm okay with Josh being Peyton Manning and winning 2 Super Bowls. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. I think that he's capable of winning 2, maybe more, but you have to actually go out there and do it. And so I'm hoping to see Josh Allen take that step and becoming that guy who actually can put fear in his mind. He can be afraid if he wants to. He can be, nonchalant if he wants to. It doesn't really make much of a difference to me. My whole thing is he's lying to the people. Like, he's not being accurate with what he's saying, and that's fine. He doesn't have to be accurate. That's his business if he wants to not be honest. And I'm not gonna fault him for having his take, but I will fault him for being dishonest. The dishonesty is there. Every year we have 2 teams make the playoffs. Now, which teams from the AFC West made the playoffs this year? The Chiefs made it. The Chargers make it? No. Raiders make it? No. The Broncos make it? No. So that's intellectually dishonest to me. Their division is way weaker than ours, and they have better quarterbacks than ours. Tua is the second best quarterback in this division, unless you're counting Aaron Rodgers, who may or may not still be the Aaron Rodgers that we knew. And then you go back to it, Justin Herbert is awesome. I think if the Dolphins were to redraft, they would take Herbert in a heartbeat. Numbers-wise, maybe not wins-wise, but numbers-wise, he's been outstanding when healthy, but they can't protect him, nor can they keep weapons around him healthy. Not his fault. Not his fault at all. Now he's got a real head coach. Head coaching has been a problem in Los Angeles for the Chargers for a while, and now they have Jim Harbaugh, former Super Bowl head coach who took the Niners there. Of course, they lost to his brother and Joe Flacco back in 2012, I believe it was. He went to Michigan. He coached them to a national championship by hook or crook, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. It's Michigan, and they cheated. We know it. So it is what it is, man. Let's see. Anything is possible. I believe. You and me both. I believe in this team. I love this team. This has been my team since I was little, growing up in Rochester. So yeah. See, Nick just likes to hear himself talk. I agree, Bobby. He does like to hear himself talk. He does. And in one of the clips, he said, "I told you so." I didn't put that in the thing because it was unnecessary, but analysts just want people to pay attention to what they say. Create clickbait. The truth has no part of it. So some of them do and some of them don't. I don't know how much of an analyst I would say Nick Wright is. He is right probably about 50% of the time. There are takes that he has that I sometimes agree with. Some of them about the Bills on occasion, but mostly false. Him saying that, you'll see in my next one here. I'll go over it. He's pretty right about, but these first two, the second one was dishonest, and the first one was his opinion because Josh no longer has Diggs, and so we push on. We push on. There are some analysts who are very honest though, and can be trusted. Nick Wright to me is not one. Now, next one is Chris Sims ranks Josh Allen as QB2 in the NFL. Right? He had Mahomes obviously is number one, 3 Super Bowl championships, 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Like he's the guy, right? Josh Allen's number 2, according to Chris Sims. Right? He says he's the most physically gifted quarterback in the NFL. He has the strongest arm. He can run and an elite passer. He's so good that he helps the defense. Reviewing this is Nick Wright and Broussard and the boys. Chris Broussard says that Josh Allen 17 and Lamar Jackson are debatable for QB2. I have to wait for it to come around because on my screen here, it is not showing me the whole thing. I got the dots. Strongest arm, he can run as an elite passer. Come on, ticker. He's so good, he helps the defense. Reviewing this, Chris Broussard says that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are debatable for QB2. Nick Wright said Lamar Jackson looks out of sorts in the playoffs. He has Josh Allen 17 and others over Lamar. And so the other ones he had over Lamar was CJ Stroud. He had him over Lamar. He had Jordan Love over Lamar, I believe it was. He had Jalen Hurts over Lamar. Like he had guys who have won in playoffs. Matthew Stafford was one he had over Lamar. He had like 4 or 5, maybe 6 guys over Lamar Jackson. That Joe Burrow, he's like, if I was starting a franchise today and I couldn't take Patrick Mahomes, these guys are ahead of Lamar. And so I'm not exactly a Lamar Jackson fan. I'll tell you that myself. I'm not big on the guy. I don't think that he's very good in the playoffs at all. And he's not. Another thing Nick said about him was that if your worst game is your last game, it says a lot about you. And then if you look at Josh Allen, traditionally, his last game is far from his worst game. In 2022, his last game was definitely his worst game against the Bengals. This year, that playoff game, identical numbers to Mahomes. The 13-second game, almost identical numbers to Mahomes. They were almost identical in each one of those games. The only two that he looked the worst in was the one against the Chiefs in the 2020, and then in 2023 or in 2022, excuse me, against the Bengals. Those other 2 playoff games against the Chiefs, he was outstanding. He was outstanding. And so when you're looking at a guy who's like Lamar Jackson, who plays fairly well in the regular season. I mean, he only had 7 interceptions. He had 29 total touchdowns. Passing wise, he had 24 and 5 rushing touchdowns. 24 passing touchdowns to 7 interceptions it's better than 3-1. He's efficient, but he's not over the top good, right? If the game is on the line and you need to score in the playoffs, like he's not getting it done. And that's where I stand on Lamar Jackson. I'm not a fan of his ability to be clutch. He doesn't have that to me. Josh Allen has it. Mahomes has it. Mahomes has it a little bit better, and that's why Josh can't get past him so far. Burrow has it. There's really 3 quarterbacks in AFC that have it. There's Allen, Burrow, and Mahomes, and that's why those 3 are the ones who are lumped up at the top. So, yeah, I'm with Chris Sims on that, and to an extent, so was Nick Wright. He agreed because he pushed back on Broussard when he said Lamar Jackson's got 2 MVPs. It was like, yeah, okay, but this last one, he only had 29 total touchdowns. And the last guy to win an MVP with less than 30 touchdowns was Tom Brady back in like 2011 or something like that. It's been a long time since a quarterback with less than 30 touchdowns won the MVP. But the fact is, he was on the 1 seed, and 5 other quarterbacks had more touchdowns than him. I mean, Dak Prescott had more touchdowns than him just passing. So that's my take on that. But this is about the Bills and Josh And the Bills will go the way Josh goes. Now, Chris Sims has always been behind Josh, even when Josh was in his slump last year. Chris Sims, he calls Josh his boy Blue. That's my boy Blue. And you know what? I appreciate Chris Sims for that. But he's also not like specifically positive towards Josh. He's positive to the great quarterbacks in the NFL, the Mahomeses, the Burrows, Lamar. Like the guys he deems to be great. I don't deem Lamar to be great, but I deem him to be pretty damn good. He's not great to me, and he's overpaid to me. But I'm not trying to reach in any man's pocket. Good for him getting paid. See, if Allen defense would have gave up 0 points in the second half like Jackson's defense did versus KC, the Bills win that game. That's true. The problem is it's hard to do that when you got no linebackers. Tyrell Dodson was out there with one wing, and Baylon Spector couldn't play. Terrell Bernard couldn't play. We had to call up AJ Klein, and that's a recipe for disaster when you're playing Travis Kelce. I don't care which Travis Kelce showed up for the regular season. In the playoffs, he showed up. And I think that if you had a Milano or if you had even a Baylon Spector out there, might have been the deciding factor. But you had AJ Klein out there, and as I say, AJ Klein's not good, right? He's just old. So when I say not good, I mean mentally no longer has it. He mentally has it. He doesn't physically have it. So he can recognize it, but he can't get there fast enough because his physicality is diminished. And so I think if you had AJ Klein from 3 years ago, might have been okay. But we got this AJ Klein who was getting ready to take his family to Disney World in an RV, got a phone call. I was like, oh, let's go. And I thank him for that, right? Because he could have left us high and dry and left us with nobody. And you would have had freaking DeMar Hamlin playing linebacker or some crap like that. Or an unready Dorian Williams, which may have been better. I'm not going to lie. But truth is, Bills weren't ready for it. Not the defense, at least. Josh was ready. Apparently Diggs wasn't ready, but it is what it is. The Travis Kelce spent a lot of time out there with nobody around him. Exactly. And it's because AJ Klein might have recognized it and started moving that way. Just not fast enough. He's just not fast enough for it, unfortunately. But if we won that game and we played Baltimore in the AFC Championship game, we would have been going to Baltimore for that game. And hopefully, maybe you get Terrell Bernard back, maybe Baylon Spector back, and you have a deeper linebacker core. But that's all ifs, Ifs don't get you anywhere. Walter S. Don't get me wrong. If we had Milano and Bernard, that would have been a big improvement. But I'm not buying it would have made a significant difference in the result. Kelce burned Ravens and SF. Yeah, he did, but our linebackers, our secondary, our safeties are better than the Niners safeties. And as a whole, I think that they were better than the Ravens safeties, although the individual safety that is Kyle Hamilton was a monster. He's a monster. But yeah, I think that having one of those two out there would have won us that game. It would have kept Kelce from getting a crucial first down, and we get the ball back in a punt. He might still score, but I don't think that I don't agree with the thing that it doesn't make a significant improvement. I think it makes a huge improvement. So I really like Dorian Williams. I like him too. Hopefully he takes a step up. And when it's time for Matt Milano, who is my favorite player on his defense, so I hate saying this, when it's time for him to move on, retire, or if the Bills see or deem that it's time for him to go, when that time comes, I would love for Dorian Williams to be the guy who takes over. Dorian Williams shows so much promise. He's fast. He's a hitter. Just need him to get his mental straight and get his instincts intact, and I think he could be an excellent linebacker. See, the Bills' defense was too banged up in the KFC playoff game. They were. But it is what it is, man. Everybody's banged up. For us, it just happened to be at a spot that we couldn't afford to be banged up because of Travis Kelce. That's the reality of it. You can't have banged up linebackers and play Travis Kelce. See, San Fran and Ravens are arguably better than our pair, and they got destroyed. I disagree. And they got destroyed by Kelsey. And not for nothing, we've had a top linebacker group for 5 years, and how much difference. It hasn't made a huge difference that this year was not the same Travis Kelsey. And I'm also saying with the safeties. So with both Hyde and Poyer in there, instinctively, I think that a better linebacker than A.J. Klein makes a huge difference in the middle of the defense. I don't know how that, changes, how that doesn't register. I'm not trying to insult you, but like the way Taron Johnson was playing to keep one side of that interior intermediate part of the field, Travis Kelsey was just able to work with that because the linebacker core was so dreadful that it was easy for him. We had a top 2 slot corner, nickel cornerback out there, and it was really apparent that our linebackers were just not it. My man David Highland's back in the comments. Let's go. What's up, David? Welcome back to the show, baby. All right. So to the next point. Stephen A. Smith. Here's something he had to say. Stephen A. Smith said, the Texans have passed the Bills in the AFC after the Diggs trade. It was a whole thing. He said it a lot more wordy than that, but what it boiled down to was as soon as the Bills traded Stephon Diggs to the Texans, they moved ahead of the Buffalo Bills in the AFC as in which team is better. Now, personnel-wise, maybe. You've now given C.J. Stroud 3 very good receivers with Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins. They have Joe Mixon now at running back, so skill position-wise, yeah, I'll give them that. But only because the Bills' skill positions are a question mark outside of Dalton Kincaid and James Cook. We don't know how high Khalil Shakir can go, but I have faith. We do know Curtis Samuel is a good slot receiver, good underneath guy, good end arounds, can take plays out the backfield and make big plays there. So I don't think that the full scope of what the Bills have is something that's being taken serious by Stephen A. Smith here. My man said, I don't take Stephen A. Smith as a joke. Hey, dude's making money, so I give him that. But he's going to have some takes that are, off. He's going to have some takes that are off. He has the personnel that each team gained and lost dictate the reasoning why. A lot of people are saying that our entire defense was destroyed. And it's like, we only changed 2 starters. Like, only 2 starters are different. And that's the safeties. And one of those 2 guys was on the team last year learning from the old guys. I'm not a Stephen A. Smith fan. Over-opinionated, thinks too much of himself and his opinions. I don't disagree with that comment at all. Not one bit. Fairly accurate comment. So in the AFC, he has Kansas City, Baltimore, and Houston as the top 3 teams. He didn't mention anybody in the AFC East, so my guess would be that he has the Bills on top of that. But a couple of the guys on the show said that the Bills and the Dolphins, they have, I think it was Shannon Sharp, he was arguing with that one. He had the Bills and the Dolphins ahead of the Texans now. But I don't know about the Dolphins. They really didn't do much to improve their offensive line, in my opinion. And so they got to protect Tua. He did a decent job of protecting himself last year, so kudos to Tua. But I think that it's a little rash to jump the gun and say that the Texans have jumped the Bills when I don't think so. Sandra comes out. He talks too much, and he never shuts up. That's true. He does never shut up. He's always got something to say, and that's fine. That's what his job is. His job is to talk a lot. His job is to talk a whole lot. And so we're going to go ahead and get through this. The next guy is another Bills guy, right? He loves Josh Allen. He says similar things to Chris Sims, and that's the former backup quarterback for the Detroit Lions, Dan Orlovsky. Now, I'm going to read these comments before I read this. See, Texans will not have a last place schedule this season. Bills still well ahead of them. I think so too. See, I don't get how people are so high on the Ravens. They lost some key players on defense. They did lose some key players on defense, but you know, for some reason, I don't know how, I don't know why, Lamar keeps them afloat. Like to me, Tyler Huntley is a better passer than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson just wins more. Maybe he keeps the offense on the field longer because he runs the ball. Maybe he just makes fewer risky throws. Those are all factors. He's efficient. I give him that. His passer rating is pretty good, but he doesn't score a lot. But with a defense like the Ravens defense, you don't really need to. Like scoring a lot is a necessity of a team that has a shitty defense. So Dan Orlovsky says Josh Allen will be an elite QB even without Diggs. He needs to play in more Mahomes style and linking with multiple different targets. Do you hear me now? The audio might not be as good, but it's audio. I'm gonna have to check on my mic, see what's going on with that. But basically, Josh Allen has to become a more efficient passer. He's got to be more diligent in targeting multiple players, tight ends. He's got two good tight ends in Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. He's got multiple wide receivers that he can distribute the ball to that play different roles. You know, he's got MVS, who's a burner down the field. He's got Khalil Shakir, who's good in the intermediate short routes. He's also good on screens, and he's also good at breaking tackles. You got guys like Chase Claypool, who's good at bodying people up. Keon Coleman is the same way, but hopefully better. We have a bunch of different targets, and Josh is going to have to use those very much like a point guard does in basketball when he's distributing the ball to his fellow teammates, right? He's going to have to be Superman in the moments where he's needed to be, but with the supporting cast he has, he shouldn't need to be most of the time. He should be able to find somebody. And so none of these wide receivers that we have right now, as of right now, have shown themselves to be a number one wide receiver or even an excellent wide receiver, right? Curtis Samuel's pretty good. Khalil Shakir is pretty good. MVS is fairly good. You know, Chase Claypool had some good moments, but we'll see. I thought we were over the efficient passer narrative. Allen was more efficient passer and taking the dump offs to start the. So I'm not saying what you're saying here. When I say efficient passer, I don't mean we don't throw deep. I'm not saying that we had to box him in. What I'm saying about efficient passer is because of the targets that he has, the players that he has around him. When I'm talking about efficiency, I'm talking about a high completion percentage. I'm talking about fewer interceptions. I'm talking about being able to maximize the plays that he has. I'm not saying that he's going to start dumping the ball off now and check downs. And no. I'm saying that the personnel we have can help Josh Allen to better distribute the ball instead of force feeding one guy like Stephon Diggs and then number 2 option being Gabe Davis, and then everybody else can eat after that. No, right now, the number 1 guy is probably Dalton Kincaid. Right, so you're going to use your tight end. You're going to use your running back. You're going to use your receivers in the roles that they fit. And he's going to have to do more to read the defense so that way he can facilitate this offense being better. I want to bring the comment back up here. So the narrative wasn't an efficient passer. The narrative was take what the defense gives you. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying they're going to use players to beat defenses the way that those players play well, right? So Keon Coleman, not very good with the, let me say this, he's not very good at getting separation, right? In college, at least. In the NFL, that could change. But if you put the ball up there, he can go get it, right? So you're going to use your guys to their strengths instead of the way we have been doing things. The team seems to have been making things more difficult than it has to be, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Josh Allen has to be efficient. I'm saying the entire offense has to run efficiently. And Josh is going to have to be the one who reads that and decides where the ball's got to go. It's very different than what Dorsey tried to do. I don't see that being the case with Joe Brady at all. He's also going to run the ball more, keeping defenses on their toes and playing less passing coverage. So that's where that is, in my opinion. The only problem I have with Allen, sometimes he doesn't like to throw to the guys in front of him, but he can fix that. Yeah, a lot of things can be fixed. It's all about discipline. But also he's working on his mechanics this year again to see. Every time Nick is wrong, his nose gets bigger. That's messed up, but funny. So do you think Keon will play special teams also? Good to be multiplayer. No, I don't think he will. He's a second-round pick. He's not playing special teams. He's going to have to really suck in training camp to play special teams. That's what you brought in Chase Claypool for. That's what you brought in Mac Hollins for. Junie, volume, kind of. Basically, don't force it to one player, spread it around. Exactly. And with doing that, the efficiency should go up. Because now on a specific play, teams will be like, we're going to take Diggs away and make him throw somewhere else. Well, somewhere else last year was Gabe Davis, who has a high drop percentage. Then it was Deontay Hardy. That was a disaster. Trent Sherfield drops a lot of passes as well. Like, the options that he had after Diggs were not quality outside of Davis and Kincaid and Knox. Now, everybody can catch. There's not a receiver on this team right now who can't catch the ball, right? Khalil Shakir had the highest catch percentage last year of all receivers. Curtis Samuel doesn't drop a lot of balls. He doesn't. He's very efficient with his catching. Keon Coleman catches everything thrown his way. Big guy, Chase Claypool, when he's on, very good catching the ball. Very few drops. He's good at high pointing the ball. He's very good at difficult catches. MVS, he's the one guy who drops passes, right? And he did it with the Chiefs too, and that's why he had to take a back seat this past year when Rashee Rice showed up. Now, in Buffalo, he's going to be a better player, I think, because his target share is going to come down. The pressure on him is going to go down. And he's not going to be looked at as a number 1 wide receiver. He's like number 5 or 4. Mac Hollins doesn't drop a lot of passes. He also doesn't get thrown a lot of passes, but he catches almost everything thrown his way. Dalton Kincaid, very efficient catching. Dawson Knox, in the past, had some drop issues, and then this past year, they came back a little bit, but he had a broken wrist, so I get it. But still, he's gotten better at catching the ball. When he doesn't have a broken wrist, he's been much better the last couple years rather than the first 2 years of his career. The first 2 years of his career, he was dropping the ball a lot, but he came out of college and didn't get a big target share at
Ole Miss. When he got to Buffalo, though, target share went up, and then the issue with the hands reared its ugly head. Now we're here. He won't be under pressure. Problem solved. He won't be under pressure to force it to one person. Exactly. 87.6% for Shakir. FYI, yeah, it was very, very good catch percentage. Like, yeah, Claypool, just like Beasley and Smoke, going to have the best year of his career because he has an elite QB. I think so. Yeah, you look at Chase Claypool; he hasn't played good since Ben Roethlisberger was his quarterback. And that was a shell of Ben Roethlisberger, but it was still a Ben Roethlisberger who knew how to read defenses and deliver the ball effectively. And then he went to freaking Chicago. I don't have to say a lot after that. And then from Chicago, he goes to Miami. I'm not saying Tua was a bad quarterback, but Tua had 3 receivers already that were higher than him on the depth chart. He was traded for. They already had Hill, Waddle, and Wilson. He wasn't going to see the field like that anyway. When he did, he really wasn't able to capitalize. So, yeah. Last year's wide receiver pickups, Sherfield and Hardy, were total flops. They were. Beans pickups this year, Samuel, Hollins, Coleman, MVS, needs to be much better. Yeah, and Claypool. When it's 3rd and long, I can't say I honestly trust any of these options. I was as big of a Davis detractor as anybody, but I will say he had a knack for the QB scramble reception for a first. So does Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel has that same knack. As did Shakir last year. Shakir had it too. Last year, Gabe didn't have it. So I mean, I get it. I get that you're a bit doubtful, and that's fine. Not every fan fans the same way. We all fan a little different. I fan more towards the positive. You're kind of more wait and see, and I'm wait and see too. But I believe in the players. I've seen them play. I've watched the film. I've seen what they do best, and hopefully Joe Brady can scheme them up. To me, that's where it really lies. That's where it's really going to be. I'm still Team Isabella. Hey, man, whatever players that you want to make the squad, you got that. I wouldn't be mad if Isabella makes a team. That just means that he won the job. Josh is the best QB Chase has played for. Yes. Yep. And he compares a lot to Ben. We'll see. We'll see what happens. One of the funnier things I remember was Keon Coleman asking MVS if Josh throws a hard ball. And he was like, nah. He was like, oh, they said he throws a hard ball. And I'm like, come on, MVS. Like, you dropping passes like crazy, man. I want to hear that from you. You need to prove that on the field. But that's another story. All right, so the next guy that I saw that made some comments about the Bills. They were talking about it was Sam Acho. Said Josh Allen is the Bills' biggest issue. You won't find a consistent offense with an inconsistent QB. You won't find a tough offense with a soft QB. Josh has led the NFL in INTs. Josh is inconsistent. The offense is a reflection of the quarterback. Yeah. So Acho was kind of going hard in the paint there. He was going his Nick Wright route. But I don't agree. First of all, Josh Allen is not a soft quarterback. I don't know why that even made it into his statement about quarterbacks. But it did. And it's dumb. But neither here nor there. Who the F is that guy? So Sam Acho was actually on the Bills. He did not make the roster. He played for the Bears for a little while and the Eagles. But he was an all right pass rusher. Like he was a good depth guy, but he was just never that guy. And so, yeah, he said that stuff about Josh. He's on the show with Joy. LaShawn McCoy, Joy, James Jones. He's on the show with them. First things first, or something like that. Yeah, he predicted Josh Allen to be the MVP a couple times, and Josh let him down, and so I think maybe Josh messed with his bank account because Josh didn't get the MVP. But Acho is he's an extreme take kind of guy. I think he does it on purpose for the clicks. Him, I believe, for sure does it for the clicks. Like 99% sure. See, Acho is clueless and not good at the whole analyst thing. I agree. See, Acho makes Stephen A. look like a genius. Can't stand the dude. I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of his either. See, he might have some CTE issues, probably. Some of those INTs weren't Al's fault, or weren't all Allen. I remember a handful of them came off him throwing to Davis. So a lot of interceptions that Josh Allen throws come off the hands of wide receivers who basically can't haul it in. And Gabe Davis was the primary on that. He was the big guy who dropped a lot of passes and tip drills and balls just flying up in the air and then defenders, picking it off of him. That happened quite a bit. And so with that being said, Josh Allen was actually like top 5 in turnover-worthy plays. And what I mean is he was top 5 fewest turnover-worthy plays. It just so happened that every single one of his turnover-worthy plays ended up being a turnover. That's just bad luck. So call it what you want, but it's bad luck on those plays. See, Acho is still holding a grudge because he couldn't make the Bills roster years ago. He could be. He did predict Josh to be the MVP. He did get let down, so I'm not sure what his motivation is, but it is what it is. We're not going to spend too much time on Acho because it was a relatively short statement. He said it a whole lot more than that, but this is the gist of what he said, and I picked the big points of what he said. But if you look these up on YouTube, you will find them. Just look up Sam Acho talks Josh Allen or talks the Bills, or any of these guys who I'm talking about. You'll find it. You just gotta look. Not all these were easy to find, but I did sit there and read them, and yeah. All right, so the next one is from former Jets general manager Mike Tannenbaum. Mike Tannenbaum says the Bills are the favorites in the division. The new, more balanced passing and rushing should help. They have emerging superstars in James Cook and Dalton Kincaid. Now, I put number 4 and number 86 because I thought I could only do 200 characters at the time when I put this one up there, and then I realized that I could put more, and then I rearranged them all, and I didn't go back to this one and fix it. I had more to say, but it's fine. He says Bills will win a lot of games, and then Mina Kimes on the same show agreed. She was like, "I'm with Mike Tannenbaum. I think that the Bills are going to win the division, and that not much has changed." And not much has changed. On defense, the only 2 starters that are gone are Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. On offense, Mitch Morse, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis. Outside of that, losing 5 starters total is not crazy. The next one was Bill Barnwell. He was on the same show. He followed up Mike Tannenbaum. And Bill Barnwell said he's concerned about the loss of Diggs, Davis, Poyer, and Hyde. He says it'll make winning the AFC East harder. He takes the field, as in if he had to choose a team to win the AFC East and they said the Bills are going to win it, he goes, "I'm taking the field. Like, I'm going to say somebody else is probably going to win the division." So last year the Bills were 6-6 and were written off. Written off is exactly what he said. He said they were written off, or he said when the Bills were 6-6 last year, we wrote them off. To me, that kind of counters your point. Like if they were 6-6 and you were writing them off, and they come back, win the division, end up the 2 seed, win a playoff game, and then lose a nail biter to the Chiefs, I'm not sure how that opinion makes total sense. I don't see it. It doesn't make sense to me. See, the Bills will win 12 to 13 games, win the AFC East this year. I hope so. I got us winning, 12 to 13 games as well. It's a tough schedule, though. However, I think that the Bills are capable of doing it. I think that they're more than capable of doing it. Now, this one hurts a little bit. I got the man sitting right here. Okay? This is a real jersey. Okay? See how the numbers don't flex? Next one is Shady, who always defends Josh, by the way. He always defends Josh. He defends the Bills. But here we go. We're not losing 72 fins. Hey, man. I hope if we wouldn't go undefeated, I just hope we don't pull a Patriots and lose at the end. But here's what Shady had to say. Who do the Bills have other than Josh Allen? James Cook is good and getting better. Defense is all gone. What's the hope? Josh Allen is a great player, but he'll give you some turnovers. Next year, they'll be better. It's the gist of what Sean McCoy said. And I'll admit it. It hurts. It hurts hearing a guy who's pro Buffalo give that breakdown, because he's team Buffalo, but he's also team Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. He's if you're looking at it from the outside in and you don't know a lot about the Bills, and yeah, you'd say, well, they lost Diggs and Davis. They lost freaking Hyde and Poyer. That's a lot. And so next year they'll probably be better. And it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Really? When it comes from inside the circle, it hurts. But I digress. I'm sure that next year, when the Bills prove that wrong, he'll be one of the first ones to say, I didn't say that. But he might not, because he is Shady McCoy for a reason. So he is Shady McCoy for a reason. See, I think it's a fair point. Let's be real. If you saw this wide receiver room on another squad, you wouldn't look twice. I would if it was Mahomes or Burrow. No, maybe not Burrow. Burrow's been kind of blessed with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But if it was, Mahomes, Josh Allen, I think that Justin Herbert could do something with the wide receiver room. I think Trevor Lawrence could, like what he did with Zay Jones and Christian Kirk. I think that he can make this wide receiver room work. There's some quarterbacks that I think could make this room work. C.J. Stroud probably could make this receiver room work. Jordan Love could probably make this receiver room work. Josh is like one of 5 to 8 guys who can make this wide receiver room work. And some of the guys on this, in this wide receiver core are not name players, right? Like Curtis Samuel's a name player, sure. Khalil Shakir's not. Only 2 years in the league, 5th round pick. Got some proving to do. Keon Coleman, rookie. Matt Collins, he's been a special teamer and a good run blocker. MVS, role player only, right? He's a deep threat. He can get you some yards, run some crossers. That's who he is. The other guys, KJ Hamler, he might have some juice, but he's got to stay healthy. I like KJ Hamler quite a bit. Also, Andy Isabella, I like him too. They're both fast guys, but there isn't a star number 1 wide receiver here, and so I understand, and I think you're correct. It is a fair point, but I'm going to be real and say I think some of these guys are going to turn up, because here's another fair point. Wide receivers have their best years under Josh Allen. Wide receivers have their best years under Cole Beasley, John Brown, Stephon Diggs. The only ones that really didn't were guys who were either over the hill or they were in a bad way mentally. Like Zay Jones, he had his big 650-yard, 7-touchdown year. Then the very next year, after the incident at the hotel where he tried to kick his way through a window on 30th floor or whatever it was in Vegas, he wasn't the same in Buffalo. He went to the Raiders. He sucked there. Then he goes to Jacksonville. All of a sudden, turns back up. Freaking Kelvin Benjamin. He was done. But then you get what's his name? John Brown. His best year, I think, was his 3rd year in Arizona, and after that, he kind of bounced around. He ended up in Baltimore, and under Joe Flacco, he was on his way to 1,000 yards. But then Joe Flacco got hurt because he moves like a filing cabinet, and then Lamar takes over. Can't do anything with him. He comes to Buffalo with Josh Allen after leaving Lamar. Suddenly, 1,000 yards. Cole Beasley in Dallas played pretty good. He was pretty damn good in Dallas. Comes to Buffalo, all of a sudden, he's put up 954 yards. Stephon Diggs, not a Pro Bowler, not an All-Pro in Minnesota. 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler in Buffalo. He wasn't catching 127 catches in Minnesota. He wasn't putting up 1,500 yards. He had 1 year where he was over 9 touchdowns, I think it was, in Minnesota. But he was the number 2 receiver. Adam Thielen was the one taking all the heat. He comes to Buffalo. Him and Josh link up, boom, explosive. Him and Josh take off together. It's a beautiful thing. We're gonna see what Gabe Davis is this year when he goes to Jacksonville. We're gonna see what he is on the field for them. Good luck to him. I hope that he does well. I love Gabe. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's number 1 or number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. I just don't see it. Hell of a run blocker. Hell of a sideline pass catcher. I don't know how he does that. He catches those difficult ass passes on the sideline, but the man can't catch, a freaking hitch. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. Like I can't make somebody do something that should be easy to them. Dawson Knox had that same problem the first couple of years of his career, dropping the easy ones, but then the hard ones where he's got to reach back behind himself in the end zone, or he's got a high point something. He's making all those catches. But the simple ones where you got to look it in. Lawrence interception numbers going up with Davis. Probably. I can see that happening. Jacob. Hey, Izzy. What's up, Jacob? Welcome to the show, baby. But yeah, this is like, I don't know. Like, every NFL team goes through these things, right? The Bills are going to have it this year. We'll see. This is a wait and see year for the Bills. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait and we're going to see. Go Bills. All right. Next one, James Jones. Same show that McCoy was on. James Jones. He says Josh Allen should be confident in himself and expect to win. But this isn't the year. He's lost a lot of all-pro help. He's a great player and should say it's Super Bowl or bust. He's saying he should say that. Because if it's not that, then what the hell are you playing for? He should be saying it's Super Bowl or bust. He touches the ball every single play, but it's over this year. Doesn't have enough to compete with the elite teams. It's all on Josh Allen to make the playoffs. If he does get there, he should be the MVP. So he's saying that the team is so depleted that if the Bills make the playoffs, Josh Allen should be the MVP. That's crazy. He's the man, is he? I agree. Wait and see. We get cheated a lot. Yeah, we do. We do. Here's a fun story of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes has the most interceptions overturned by penalty. Do with that what you will. Do with that what you will. He has the most interceptions that are overturned by penalty. Pass interference, defensive holding. You pick the penalty on defense. He has the most interceptions that are overturned by penalty in the NFL. It's not close. So, yeah. But yeah, James Jones, he's in the doom and gloom side of things. Like, this is a reset year for the Bills. I think most Bills fans see it as kind of a soft reset year where we have players who can come in and contribute and could potentially make the Bills a team that can still be a contender. That's possible. It's also possible that the guys who are saying that the Bills are not Super Bowl contenders this year, they could be right this year. They could be correct. I'm a Bills fan. I'm a positive guy. I'm hoping that the talent they brought in and the coaching that they have decided to move forward with is going to be enough to keep them in that contention. And so when you look at the coordinators we've had in the past, Dable, a little older, right? Dorsey, fairly young, but he's in his 40s. You now got a guy in his 30s as the offensive coordinator, and you've got a young superstar in the making defensive coordinator in Bobby Babbage Jr. You're going to get an infusion of youth, not just on the roster, but in the coaching staff. I'm very hopeful for this team. Sandra, Mahomes is a crybaby. That's why. He is a bit of a whiner, you know. And Josh has his little moments too, but, you know, I see it a lot from Mahomes. Crying to Josh or, you know, bitching about you can't call, you know, that penalty on that play. It's like they called it before he threw the ball. They didn't know what you were going to do after they threw the penalty. You know, it is what it is. It's a damn reset. Youth and added scheme dimension. It will propel us to a Super Bowl win. I hope so. And I will call it a reset. You can call it a soft reset. You can call it a hard reset. It's a reset in some form. You know, when you do get rid of a Mitch Morse, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, Micah Hyde. Like, Tre'Davious White was supposed to be a starter for us last year, but he got hurt week 5 or week 4. So he wasn't a starter for us. Only 4 new starters, really. 5. Yeah, we just replaced our safeties that was past their prime and a so-called number 1 wide receiver who had 20 yards in a playoff game. Hey, man. Stephon Diggs has never really been good in the playoffs for us. He just hasn't. He has not had good playoff games with the Bills, and I don't know why, but it's been pretty bad. Allen is the talk, where I feel the talk should be McDermott. He's on the second rebuild, basically, and once again, his defense has underwhelmed. How many exits can the team have until the players question? The players, I'm sure the players have questions. They've asked questions before. You know, Diggs has been questioning. You know, but I don't think that it's that simple. Like it's very. I don't want to say very. It's an oversimplification to say that, you know, he's on his second rebuild. Yeah, but what was the first rebuild, right? He inherited Rex Ryan's team. They started gutting it that very first year. That next year they had to eat $55 million in dead cap. So that year was basically we're just unloading all this money. We're gonna draft some guys that we like. Josh Allen, Jermaine Edmonds, Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins was 0-4. Anyway, we're gonna draft a bunch of guys that we like, and then push forward with that. We know that we're not going to be competitive this year. We don't have the money to be. Very next year, you bring in Cole Beasley and John Brown, right? And they've built on since then. They didn't get a Super Bowl this time, but they've shown that they can build a roster that's capable of getting you very close to it. And if it's not for Mahomes, we probably would have gotten one by now. But Mahomes exists, so we're living in that world. There's a world out there or a universe out there somewhere where Mahomes doesn't exist, and Josh Allen has 4 Super Bowls. No, it's not the reality we live in. We live in the reality where you build it, you try and win it, and then you don't. Look at Sean McVay. His team went to the Super Bowl, right, with Jared Goff. That was his first big build. Failed. His second build, they won a Super Bowl. Can be done. It's been done before. I think Jack Browning has done better than Sam Martin so far. I agree. Shady goes back and forth with the Bills, and he will not choose them over his beloved Eagles. I wouldn't ask him to. He's a Philadelphia kid, so, you know, if we're number 2 on his list, I'll take it. You know, I understand it. Like, I live in North Carolina. I like the Panthers, but I would never take the Panthers over the Bills. Not a snowball's chance in hell. Wouldn't do it. See, the last squad couldn't take us to Super Bowl. Yep. So you remember what Patriots did with Brady. It's a lot to remember. It was like 20 years worth of memories. The Walter S. NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky says Bills are low-key a top 5 wide receiver room in ability to match up and deploy. And we are underrated. The criticism against Josh egregiously exaggerated. Allen was real MVP. I think he was a real MVP, man. Adam, I think you're on something there. Josh Allen had the most touchdowns last year, period. And he was on the number 2 seed in the AFC. He had 15 more touchdowns than the reigning MVP, who was the 1 seed, but Josh was the 2 seed and scored 15 more times. It's crazy. Why isn't anyone talking about the future cap savings this offseason moves has created? Our future is brighter than ever, and we will still be competitive this year. We are set up. Yeah, well, so we're getting set up, right? This year is kind of like that 2018 year, except we're not absolute garbage. You look at that 2018 year, I mean, that we were Robert Foster, freaking Jesus, man. It was a horrible year. Now I gotta look this up. I'll pull that down to this screen. Let's see. Let's see. 2018. Let's talk about it. So, passing, rushing, and receiving. Shady McCoy, Chris Ivory, Marcus Murphy, Keith Ford, Isaiah McKenzie, Ray McLeod, Zay Jones, Terrell Pryor, Robert Foster, Kelvin Benjamin. That's a dumpster fire of a wide receiver room. It was super garbage. We've at least got guys who can play NFL football. This is a lot like that year. That year we had 55 million dead cap. This year we got more than that. This year we have, I don't know if we have more than 55 million. Excuse me. This year we have close to that because Diggs alone was 31 million in dead cap. So if I go to Spot Track now, NFL team cap, Buffalo Bills, where's dead cap? Dead money. The Bills are second in dead cap with $61.2 million. So that was correct. The Buffalo Bills have more dead cap this year than they did in 2018 and have a far superior squad than they had in 2018. Craziness. Let's see. Izzy, if you switch the stats of Allen and Lamar last year and the seeding of their teams, do you think Allen wins MVP? So if I switch Allen and Lamar, do you mean like on the teams that they're on, or do you just mean the Bills are the 1 seed and the Ravens are the 2 seed? If the Bills are the 1 seed, then yeah, Allen wins MVP. It's not close. No one else gets a first ballot vote. Josh gets all of the first votes. It's a wrap after that. And Lamar got that this year, basically, when Dak Prescott had more touchdowns than him, Josh Allen had more touchdowns than him, Tua had more touchdowns than him. Like, I can name quarterbacks on teams that I hate, but it is what it is. So if Josh Allen was the 1 seed and had Lamar stats, no. If Josh Allen only had 29 touchdowns and 70 receptions and was the 1 seed, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, man, because Lamar is both like Josh seems to be mostly hated by the media, so to speak, by the sports media. Lamar seems to get a lot more credit than I think he deserves. His first MVP year was outstanding. You can't be mad at 36 passing touchdowns to only 6 interceptions and another 8 rushing touchdowns. That's 44 touchdowns to freaking 6 interceptions plus the 1 fumble he lost that year. Like, that's crazy. 44 to 7 touchdown turnovers that year, hands down MVP. Can't even argue with it, right? And I'll say it was a down year for quarterbacks, but whose fault is that? Quarterback's fault. He still had that excellent year. This year, I can name like 4 or 5 quarterbacks who put up more points than him and did better. I don't know how this works out. Exactly. Does Lamar not win with Allen's stats? Allen's stats last year would be his second best for him and TD. Yeah. Actually, it would have tied. Because Josh Allen had 44 touchdowns last year. He had 15 rushing. He had 29 passing. That's 44. Right? That ties Lamar Jackson's MVP year, touchdowns wise. Granted, Josh did have the interceptions, but a lot of that wasn't really on him. Plenty of it was. I'm not going to absolve Josh Allen of everything. He definitely made some boneheaded ass plays. But at the same time, when you have an offensive coordinator who seems to be sabotaging you and Ken Dorsey, I don't know if I can really, put all that much on him. As soon as the offense changes, Allen's interception numbers plummet. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer. Lamar's a darling to a lot of the media people, and Josh is to some. Like, he's got the Orlovskis, the Chris Sims, the former quarterbacks love Josh Allen. Most of the guys not as big a fan. It's okay. I'll take the words of the guys who played the position. If Allen had Jackson's numbers and vice versa, they would, and they gave Allen MVP, the media would have went nuts. Yes, they would have. If Lamar Jackson put up 44 touchdowns to 19 turnovers, and Josh put up 29 touchdowns to Lamar had 10 turnovers this year. So, yeah, if you flip those around and Josh Allen wins the MVP, hell yeah, they lose their goddamn mind. How was Josh Allen there? Lamar scored 44 touchdowns and Josh scored 29. Yeah. I heard that, but I don't agree with it either. Lamar is the best rushing quarterback ever. Like if you go to quarterbacks who run the ball consistently, Lamar Jackson is the best at that. He's not the best dual threat quarterback ever. That's probably, as of right now, it's Steve Young. Steve Young could run. He did run, and he was an excellent passer. As of right now, currently in the NFL right now, the best dual threat quarterback is Josh Allen. Cam Newton's the best runner. Like if you put them just running the ball, yeah, Lamar Jackson's better at that. He's not as good at scoring on the run though, but he's the better runner. He's going to get more yards than Josh Allen. So it is what it is. Alpha Rob, 100% there will be protests and all that chance of the NFL being racist. Yeah. Lamar's first MVP was legit, but we're not talking about that. Yeah, no, we're not. His first MVP was legit. If you want to argue that with somebody else. Lamar Jackson's first MVP, totally legit. This one was some bullshit. Josh Allen not best through dual threat stop. Yeah, he is. He is. There's not a better dual threat quarterback in the NFL right now than Josh Allen. Allen has more rushing TDs, passing yards than Lamar and Newton. 6 years in their career, Lamar only has more rushing yards. Josh Allen also has the most touchdowns in the entire NFL the last 6 years. More than Mahomes, more than Burrow, more than Herbert, more than everybody. The most touchdowns in the first 6 years of an NFL career. More than Marino, more than Kelly, more than Elway, more than Manning, more than Brady. It's not close. It's really not close. So, okay. Jay Gruden is real. He doesn't follow the JA hate narrative. Oh, his comment is next. His is the last one. Get real. He's a Jags fan. So, rushing yards is a factor in dual threat. So is passing. Dual threat, not he can run. Dual threat. 29 passing touchdowns, 15 rushing touchdowns. Dual threat. Josh Allen had as many passing touchdowns as Lamar had total touchdowns. And then 15 rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen set the NFL record for most rushing touchdowns this past year. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, the last media member that I watched. There we go. Yeah, Josh is a better passer and Lamar's a better runner. Yeah. And as a whole, Josh is better. As a whole. If you take both those aspects, who takes both of those things and makes it better? Joshua does. Joshua Patrick Allen does. So they're both dual threat quarterbacks. Who's the better player? Josh Allen is. Allen had a better touchdown and turnover margin than Mahomes, Jackson, Hurts, and Tua, who all made Pro Bowl honors. I don't think Josh had a better touchdown turnover ratio. We can't give him that. Like if we're gonna be real, we got to be real. Josh had 44 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. It's basically 2-1. Lamar was like 3-1. So in that department, I got to give Lamar his credit. But he also doesn't take a lot of risk unless he's running. Lamar has never had a season where he had more rushing TDs than Allen stopped. He never has. He's either tied Josh Allen or he's been smoked by Josh Allen. I think the most touchdowns that Lamar Jackson has had in a season is 8, excuse me. Josh has had a 9 rushing touchdown year and a 15 touchdown year. It's not close. Rushing yards matters, but it's not everything. Josh is the better dual threat quarterback. It's not close. Allen had a better turnover worthy play. Yes. Okay. So if you're talking about turnover worthy plays, then yes. Yes. But they don't want to hear that on ESPN. You never hear that on ESPN. They don't want to hear that. They just want to know what actually happened. So that's fine. But Jay Gruden, I'm going to read it first, and then I'm going to put it on here. So with a panel of Colt McCoy, A.Q. Shipley, and Justin Pugh being very critical of the Bills, predicting the record of 8-9 or 9-8, Josh Allen is being paid to be the guy. Needs to step up and make plays. Gruden then says he has no clue what they're talking about. Josh Allen is the 1A or 1B best player in the NFL. Who cares if they no longer have Stephon Diggs? They still have Josh Allen. Khalil Shakir is pretty good. They have two good tight ends in Knox and Kincaid. And after the OC switched the run game with Cook, after the OC switched the run game balance. Wow, I had a brain fart when I wrote this. With Cook, the team got better. Saying Josh needs to make plays, step up, and carry his team is silly. He has done that from the beginning. Tickers at the bottom. Jay Gruden. They were talking about Josh. Like one of A.Q. Shipley was like, Mitch Morse is gone. You know, the center is a very important piece. This, that, and the third. And it's like he's also getting old, and we have a guy in Connor McGovern who was supposed to be a center the entire time he played, but he wasn't. And so now he's in Jacksonville. And Connor McGovern does not move to center. I don't know what they expect Josh to like falter because the center changed. Like that's one thing. Lamar has 2 MVPs and Josh has none. They both made it to the AFC Championship. None of them have Super Bowls. What's the real? Look, here's the real argument. Lamar's first MVP was legit. It was an excellent year. It was a very bad year for quarterback in general in that year. But Lamar didn't have a bad year. He had an excellent year. If you look at all the years, like 5 ahead of that and 5 after that, every quarterback scored more than 30 touchdowns in their seasons to win MVP, including Lamar in 2019. This year, that MVP was bullshit. It was straight bullshit. They both made AFC Championship games, but when the Bills and the Ravens played head-to-head in the playoffs, Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen has a record of 4-5 in the playoffs, and Lamar Jackson has a record of 2-4 or 2-5, 2-4. Because the one year he was injured when they played Burrows, Huntley, he played that game. Lamar Jackson crumbles in the playoffs. He doesn't play well in the playoffs. Look at his playoff numbers. They're horrible. The argument would be, in the playoffs, which quarterback shows up to play to actually try and get them to a Super Bowl? Josh Allen does. Josh Allen didn't get crushed by the Chiefs. He put up 3 touchdowns and a turnover. What did Mahomes do? 3 touchdowns and a turnover. Their yardage was almost identical. Josh Allen and Mahomes, when they see each other in the playoffs, they are dueling. And Lamar got crushed by both in the playoffs. This is not debatable. This is not an argument here. You're right. What's the real argument? There is no real argument because Lamar Jackson is not as good as Josh Allen. He doesn't score as much as Josh Allen. He doesn't win as many playoff games as Josh Allen. He loses to Ryan Tannehill in the playoffs. You know who's beating Josh Allen in the playoffs? Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. That's it. Not Ryan Tannehill. Okay? Hasn't been the case. In the playoffs, Lamar plays like a freaking bum. This is not an argument. It's not even close to being an argument. It's nonsense. Anyways. I love the Lamar stands. Anyways. Looking back at the guys that I was able to review. We talked about the Bills and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and draft, and most of them I'd say about 2/3 of them were like, this is not the year for the Bills. They're gonna go down. You know, Nick Wright, even though he believes the Bills are gonna go down and not be as good as they were, still said 10 wins is the floor. That's Josh Allen's bad year is a 10-win year. Means a lot coming from him, honestly, because he's kind of a hater. But what it boils down to, there's still some guys out there in the media who know ball and believe in this team. Of those 2/3 of the guys who criticized the Bills and Josh and said that they would be declining this year, half of those guys knew ball, played ball. Excuse me. Acho, Shady McCoy, I'll pull it up. James Jones, Shady McCoy, Sam Acho, and yeah, that's it. Those three. The guys who were positive towards the Bills. Chris Sims, Dan Orlovsky, and Jay Gruden. One was an NFL head coach. Two were players. Those guys know ball. The other guys, Bill Barnwell. I don't know what he's ever done. Not familiar with the name. Mike Tannenbaum was positive towards the Bills. He was a former GM. Not really a good one, so par for the course. Let's see, who else? Stephen A. Smith and Nick Wright, who we all know didn't play ball, aren't coaches. They know sports fairly well, but they're kind of jacks of all trades when it comes to sports. The Bills have as good a chance as anybody. But, hey, it is what it is. Let's see. Oh, my man Walter pulls up the stats. Let's go. 28 TDs, 4 INTs in the playoffs, 10 games, 5-5. Lamar Jackson, 9 TDs, 6 INTs in the playoffs, 6 games, 2-4. Oh, shoot, I forget. The Bills, when they went to the AFC Championship game with the Chiefs, they won 2 playoff games that year. So they won the first playoffs. They lost to the Texans, first round of the draft, or first round of the playoffs. Then they won 2 playoff games to get to the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. The next year they won 1. The next year they won 1. The next year they won 1. Boom. AFC Wildcard 2020. You said Burrow and Mahomes. No. Never said anything about Burrow and Mahomes in 2020. I think wasn't Burrow drafted in 2020? Wasn't he the number 1 overall pick that year? And he got hurt that year. He didn't even play that whole year. He didn't really get good until Jamar Chase came to the Bengals. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that. I am sure about this. The Bills lost to Deshaun Watson and the Texans in 2019. In 2020, they lost to Mahomes in the AFC Championship game. In 2021, they lost to Mahomes in the divisional round. In 2022, they lost to Joe Burrow in the divisional round. In 2023, this past season, they lost to Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round. 2020 was a loss to Mahomes. Burrow was a rookie, and he wasn't even playing anymore. He had his season-ending injury during that season. So, no. Every year since 2019, or since 2020, so 2020 on, the only quarterbacks to beat him in the playoffs were Burrow and Mahomes. Before that, in 2019, before the team was actually good around him, and his number 1 wide receiver was John Brown, in 2019, they lost to the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson, who wasn't really Deshaun Watson anymore. So look at Allen's playoff numbers to Jackson's, case closed. It's over. Yeah, it's not even debatable. Do these quarterbacks play for Super Bowls and playoff wins and, you know, proving themselves on the field of play, or do they do it for, you know, the MVPs, which are voted on, not determined by how you play, really? Obviously, after this last one, where Josh Allen had 15 more touchdowns than Lamar Jackson, obviously didn't matter. 15 more scores, yeah, we're gonna give it to Lamar. He's on the number 1 seed in the division in the conference. That should be the determining factor, right? Granted, if you put up 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, but you're on a losing team, like Deshaun Watson did that one year where he had like 5,200 yards, and he was last in his division, there's no way in hell he should win MVP, right? Because he's on a horrible team. But if you're the 2 seed and you lead the league in touchdowns, you should definitely win MVP. That's just how it works. If Allen had Lamar's defense that averages 16 points in the playoffs, we'd have at least one ring. Yeah, probably. The Bills had a good defense. Like saying if Lamar had the wide up. No, it's not like saying that because Josh Allen makes his wide receivers better and Lamar doesn't. Here's the proof for you. 2019 or 2018. Okay. Josh Allen, or 2018, Josh Allen had nobody at receiver. They were all bums. Zay Jones, Kelvin Benjamin, Robert Foster. Only one of those names you probably know that still plays. The other one, Kelvin Benjamin, was out of the league. Robert Foster, he played nowhere else. Miami picked him up and then cut him immediately. Andre Holmes, garbage. Isaiah McKenzie, he's still around, but he was not very good then. He was a rookie out of Georgia. We got him from Denver when they cut him. Lamar Jackson had John Brown. He had a bunch of players on that team. Joe Flacco was doing well. John Brown was on his way to 1,000 yards. Soon as Flacco got hurt and Lamar took over, John Brown's numbers nosedived. Couldn't use him. Couldn't hit him. That next year, John Brown comes to the Bills. He puts up 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Real passer stuff. Lamar Jackson has had wide receivers who were capable of putting up 1,000 yards, and he couldn't use them. The only one he ever really had that he put 1,000 yards up with at wide receiver was Marquise Hollywood Brown. And then the next year he threw him into danger and he got hurt. And it hasn't been the same since. But if Marquise Brown goes to KC this year and lights it up, then what? Then what do you say? But he wasn't good over here. He wasn't good at it because your quarterback sucks. He can't throw outside the numbers very well. He's not good at passing like that. He's efficient. He's not good at it. He's very efficient. I'm not saying you're quarterback because it looks like you're a Jaguars fan, but maybe you're Native American and your name is Jaguars foot, and then you root for the Ravens. You have a purple logo, so I have no idea how to try and correlate your name to your fanhood. But it is what it is. I say that a lot because it is. Elite quarterbacks don't crumble in the playoffs, man. They just don't. And if you wonder why Lamar Jackson's guys get hurt so much, it's because he throws them into danger. Part of the job of a quarterback is to throw your receivers the ball in a place where they're not going to get mangled by a linebacker or a safety coming in hot. You're supposed to see that and not put them in harm's way. Lamar does that a lot. He puts them in harm's way a lot. Josh doesn't. Very rare that Josh puts somebody in harm's way. If they're going to be in harm's way, they're going to score. He did a Cole Beasley one time with the Raiders. There was a corner breaking on him. He hit Beasley. He put it up high so Beasley would go up, and then the guy cut Beasley's legs off from under him, but Beasley was in position to where he could fall properly and not get hurt. Lamar doesn't do that. He gets his guys blasted often. The one time that I can remember that he didn't was with Andrews, where he had that hip drop tackle, but that's a whole different debate for other reasons that will divide fans. But guys, this has been my show. I thank everybody for being here, including you, Jaguars foot. You're welcome to be back here anytime you want. We can debate other things than Lamar and Josh, but it's not really a debate. It's not even close. The award is at this point a shit show, so you can have that one. But no, the numbers don't lie. It's Go Bills. Everybody, you have an excellent rest of your Sunday. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. And I cannot wait till the freaking training camp starts, the preseason starts, and I get to see who is making noise. Go Bills.